Hello guys, Micah Walburg here, and I'm going to go through the headlines of the day. First headline is Carmelo Anthony scores 50 points as the Knicks beat the Miami Heat without Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Mario Chalmers. Next one, Yu Darvish loses a perfect game with 2 outs in the ninth inning, allowing a single to Marvin Gonzalez. He had 14 strikeouts. Nnamdi Asomugha signed a one-year contract with the 49ers, 1.35 million, but none of it was guaranteed. And the last headline of the day is Coach Craig Neal, the assistant coach for the Lobos, is now named as the permanent head coach of the Lobos, signing a 5-year contract with the Lobos, $750,000 per year. With me, I have Tomas Moya and Will Harrigan, and we are going to speak on this topic. Will, how do you feel about this hire that the Lobos have done?
The Craig Neal hire, well, I can tell you, the majority of fans here in Albuquerque are pretty happy. As for me, I'm not very happy. I feel as if it's a safe hire by the Lobos. I don't see the program going up at all. It's certainly not a sexy move, as I would say. There's a lot of candidates out there. I think the Lobos could have done a lot better. Maybe it was an NBA coach such as Avery Johnson, Mike Brown, Stan Van Gundy. However, they went safe with Neal, and I don't think Neal's a bad coach. I think he's an excellent coach. It's just the thing I'm worried about is recruiting. People say that he's a big time recruiter, but I mean, I don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, every year that he's been here, I don't see him bringing 4 or 5 star recruits. For the most part, he's bringing in 2 or 3 stars. Luckily, they panned out pretty well. Kendall Williams and Tony Snell, just to name a few. But I don't see it. I don't see the program going up. I think I don't see them winning any more games next year than they did this year. I think you can expect the same. Maybe your first or second round exit in the tournament. If I had to predict, I would say about 24 games that they would win. But I really hope he proves me wrong. Like I said before, I think he's a good coach. He's the one who calls the plays at the timeouts. So we'll see what he can do as a head coach. We've seen some players around campus. In some interviews, specifically Alex Kirk, he said that he wanted Craig Neal, aka Noodles, as the head coach. So I think it's pretty good. I think the team should stay intact for the next 2 or 3 years, but we'll see. But what do you think, Tomas?
I think we talked about this already, but I'm not a big fan of the hire. I think we all knew it was going to happen. Everyone in Albuquerque wanted it to happen, but I still think that it should have been an outside hire. Like I said before, a young, up and coming, energetic, enthusiastic coach who would have, you know, increased the recruiting that we're doing right now because right now it's atrocious. Um, the only thing that this move accomplishes is really it's just going to keep the team together, like Will said. Kirk still is saying that he doesn't know if he wants to transfer or not. And the thing that scares me is that Kirk could transfer over to UCLA and play right away with Alford because he's already graduated, so he wouldn't have to wait out a year, and he could be playing with his coach that recruited him, all that stuff. So, and there's also Williams saying he might leave. You have Hugh saying he might leave, and you have Tony Snell saying he might go to the draft. So, this will keep the core together. But if you have a player like Alex Kirk leaving, you might still win the Mountain West because it's weak and because San Diego State's losing players, UNLV is losing players. But it's not, in the long run, it's not going to do you any good. Recruiting isn't going to go up. And there's two assistant head coaching jobs open. The best thing you can do right now, the best thing we can hope for is that there's some young guys that maybe spread across the country from other parts that really recruit a certain area well, so we can target those areas. Um, this is just a whatever hire to me. It's not nothing special. I don't like it because whenever you hire within, whenever you play it safe, especially in sports, whenever you're playing it safe, it usually doesn't work out, and that's why I don't like this hire. Um,
And
I
I still feel with Neil that, the Lobos will still be playing for a Mountain West championship. I think if you got a really good hire, maybe a former NBA coach or even a former NCAA coach who did really well, such as Bruce Pearl. I think you could be playing for a Final Four, an Elite Eight, or maybe in some cases a national championship. With Neal, I still feel as if it's still a Mountain West champion.
Yeah.
And I don't, that's not that shouldn't be the goal. That shouldn't be the goal as a team. I mean, I think no matter what your skill level is, you should still be striving, for that NCAA tournament championship. So I mean, I don't think Neal is really gonna do anything. I don't see the program going up.
Neil just keeps the continuity. He keeps everything the same. The Lobos couldn't get over the hump with Alford. Neil is his, predecessor, his, assistant, his understudy, whatever you want to call it. That's who Neil is. And so, and all the players want, to have the feeling of continuity, but they're just going to stay in the same place. We saw in the tournament how weak the Mountain West is, how overrated it is. We thought it was a good, strong conference, but they just can't get it done when it comes to the NCAA tournament. That's when it matters,
You
and they're
know
going to
what?
stay stuck in the same place. And Neil might be a great coach tactically, but you have to have the recruiting aspect. You have to know when to win the big games, and winning Mountain West doesn't cut it. Maybe for the typical fan here in Albuquerque, because the Lobos are the only thing they have, they think that's respectable. But my whole philosophy is that you play the game to win, and you have to win when it matters. And that's not. I don't think that's going to happen with Neil because it's going to stay the same. I don't see anything
In
changing.
Neal's defense, though, I mean, you have to admit he has a lot of experience. I mean, he was, a good college player. I think he had a few seasons in the NBA, and then he was a scout for the Toronto Raptors back in the early 2000s. And then obviously he was with Alford during his tenure in Iowa, and then over here in New Mexico. So I mean, he's certainly waited his turn, and I think he has a lot of experience both on the college and NBA level. So I mean, like I said, I don't see it as an upgrade. I don't think it will be a significant downgrade, however. But I hope he proves me wrong. I really do. I think they could have done better, but you never know. I mean, those players and the AD, they know a lot better, than we do. So we'll see.
Yeah, we're not wishing, like that he just has a horrible time and he's fired within a couple years. We wanted a different coach, but the reality is Neil's the head coach, and we're hoping he can move it forward. I just don't see it moving forward, but I hope he does well. I hope he can get us over the hump because first round exits, especially to a team like Harvard, is embarrassing, and the fans deserve better than that.
Well, I'm surprised because the fans they were all going crazy for Neil. I mean they were gonna have a rally on Thursday before Neil officially got hired this afternoon. I mean they seemed like they wanted Neil, so I mean they certainly got their
Yeah,
wish.
all the fans they're making Facebook pages, having little rallies. So, I mean that's what they want here. I don't know, but that's just how it is. Neil's the coach. It's done. It's over. He got a 5-year deal. He's here for the foreseeable future, and hopefully he can pick up recruiting, get some players in. No one, we have a horrible class right now, and the
I
guys
think
do.
I think 5 years is probably a pretty good time for Neil Lowe. I mean I don't think he's gonna be the long term answer, but I think 5 years is a pretty good time for him. I mean the freshmen this year were okay. Hopefully Banyard gets better and Cleveland Thomas, but I mean you look at the sophomores with Hugh and then the juniors, Snell, Williams. So I think 5 years is pretty good for him. Obviously, he's in trouble with this class. Hopefully his son, who's who's committed to St. Mary's, excuse me, as of now. Hopefully he transfers over here. I heard he's a pretty good shooting guard. Because the only recruit we have right now is Tim Miles, and for those of you who don't know, Tim Miles only averages 5.7 points per game in high school. In high school. So we'll see how he pans out, but it certainly doesn't look like he's going to be the answer. So
Yeah, and one more thing, the players you have right now, the freshmen from last year, like Banyard, Cleveland Thomas, It's the typical New Mexico recruit, the solid role player that develops. You need to get some guys in here that are ready to play right away, that are ready to drop 20 points a game, that can come in. You can't keep getting these developmental kids. I mean, yeah, they're great to have the program. I'm sure they work hard, or harder than most people, but you have to get a couple elite recruits. That's the only way you're going to get past the hump.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
you
the
look
only
at
way you're
every
going to
team
beat
in the
those teams.
tournament,
They all have.
for the most part. I mean, besides Wichita, and Wichita,
They're the exception, though.
I mean,
But besides every
yeah,
team, every other
yeah,
team has top 10
yeah.
recruiting
I
classes
know,
because
I
that's how
know.
you win.
And it's proven it works. It really has. I mean, all those, everybody wants to knock off all those recruiting sites, like
Yeah.
ESPN and all that stuff. But the fact of the matter is that it's proven and it has shown that the ones who get the top recruits are usually the most successful.
And it makes sense because in every sport, the team that wins has the best players.
Whether it's
You
the
don't, yeah,
draft,
well,
the
yeah, it
draft,
doesn't
and
matter. In the NBA, the reason the Miami Heat dominate is because they have the best player in LeBron James, one of the top 10 players in Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. You have to have the elite players, or you're not going to win in any sport. You have to go get them. You have to make
I
sacrifices.
think that's part of the reason why I thought a change maybe outside the program would have been better for this team.
You need to
Because
mix it
the
up.
way it's going, I mean, I don't know how long they can keep recruiting these 2 and 3 star players and trying to be an elite program in the top 20, top 25. I don't know how much longer it lasts. I think Snell and Williams and and Barstow and Hugh, they've certainly been great additions, but I don't know if you're talking 5 or 10 years. I mean, who knows? Who knows how those guys don't pan out?
And this season really depends on what happens with Kirk and Snell.
Yeah,
Because if
yeah,
Kirk leaves, you're looking at a mediocre team
yeah.
that just
Kirk's a
takes
big
off
difference.
that just takes off a
You
huge
know,
presence down low, and you just have Bairstow down there in the paint. I don't see you doing anything in the NCAA tournament. So it all depends on him and also Snell. But I get the feeling that Snell's going to stay.
yeah.
Anyway, I want to change the subject right now because I saw this story today on ESPN.
Shocked.
Yeah, shocking. Really embarrassing for the world of sports. So hours of videotape came out from Rutgers University at a basketball practice. This was obtained from Outside the Lines reporter on ESPN. The coach, Mike Rice, is seen throwing basketballs at players' heads, their legs, and feet. He's shoving and grabbing them. He even kicks players and screaming, curse word slurs, racial slurs. I mean, it's awful. And the video just came out right now, and you guys should go and see it. It's on ESPN.com, but it's unbelievable. Will, we're gonna start with you. What do you think
I
about
feel
it?
bad, first of all, for the players and families that have had to go through this. I couldn't imagine. I played some sports, in the past, and I used to get mad when a coach would yell at me. Never mind, throw a basketball or any kind of object at me, or grab me by the shirt or anything like that. It's inexcusable. It's inexcusable, both by the coach and then for the athletic director to not have him fired. There have been, I
He
think,
gave him a 3-game suspension for 50 and a fine of $50,000,
yeah.
and he's kicking players. He's saying racial slur. That's unacceptable. The NCAA, if the athletic director doesn't fire him,
I
the
think
NCAA needs to
both
come
need
down.
to be
They both need
gone.
to be gone.
And then that coach and that AD, they screwed that Rutgers program over. I mean, Rutgers is part of the Big East. I mean, players want to be transferring, and they have the right. They have the right to do so. I mean, under the
If I'm a
circumstances they
player,
were
I'm trying
under.
to transfer out there immediately. I mean,
Yeah,
who would want to be in that kind of environment?
yeah. I don't know. I mean, they screwed the program over. I mean, they're gonna, they'll have to find a new coach and hope they get better in the long run. But I don't know. I don't know.
Here's my view on it. It's completely unacceptable. You can't have behavior like that. I've played sports at all levels. My dad always pushed me. I've had coaches that push me and yell at me, and I respect that. I've always liked coaches, that, you know, get in your face a little bit, and tell you when you're doing bad, give you advice. But you can't have a guy out there teaching young kids, yelling at them, cursing at them. We can't even say some of these words. We can't say any of these words on the air. That's how inappropriate they are. This is just ridiculous. This is
I don't know
unacceptable,
how
and
we
it
think
shouldn't
that would
happen.
work.
It
I
doesn't
don't
work.
understand it. I don't understand it. It makes players, makes them lose confidence. Um, I mean, if that was the case, I wouldn't want to go to practice. I mean, if I made a mistake or, something that gets him, ticked off, then, it's just a bad situation all the way around. I feel for those players, I really do.
I want to read some quotes here from a kid. I don't know how to pronounce his first name. I apologize. Gilvitas Bruta, who transferred to Rhode Island last season because of the way the coach treated him. He's from Lithuania, and he said he would throw his cap at me and he would call me names. The adjectives were created. They were mean words. And he said he would call him. The one thing I hated, he would always talk about Lithuania this, Lithuania that. This is where he's from, and he would just I can't say these words on the air. Lithuania, bleep 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 this and all
The
like.
B word, P, you know,
And there was another quote
word
from a
with
player
F,
saying
yeah.
that players would stop eating, they couldn't sleep at night, and this guy felt good about himself because he was going around yelling at the players. It's sick.
I mean, I think this guy has some sort of
Yeah, he obviously has problems and he
mental
needs help. He
issue,
needs some serious help.
But I mean, I can't believe that wasn't noted earlier. I mean, that's the AD's fault. I mean, they have these videos now. I mean, that guy better be fired, ASAP. It's inexcusable as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
So,
the former NBA player Eric Murdoch, he was the director of player development for the Rutgers, he actually reported it to the athletic director and then was terminated because he was complaining. So the athletic director knew about this and they haven't done anything about it. And I have some advice from Mike Rice right now. Mike Rice, you are insane. You need some serious help. You are a crazy person that doesn't know how to coach kids in a respectful way, and you don't deserve to have a job right. The NCAA,
even for the rest of his
yeah,
career, until he gets help. I mean,
you need serious
you
help.
know?
The NCAA should come down hard on them, fine them, and suspend them for a year, if not more,
Yeah.
at least, because
Yeah.
that's unacceptable.
So, for those of you who don't know, Andy Enfield signed yesterday. Tomas, who do you think is a better LA fit? Is it Alford or Enfield or
I don't know too much about Enfield. Obviously, he did a great job with the
Gulf
team at
Coast?
Florida
Yeah.
Gulf Coast with the pieces he had there. Such a small school. Um, I wish him well. I mean, that was a great opportunity. He wasn't like offered and signed a 10-year deal a couple days before and then switched his mind. So, I mean, it was a great opportunity for him, and I wish him well at
I really
USC.
like his.
Obviously, Alford goes in with a better situation at UCLA. He goes in with better players, a good recruiting class, and I don't USC's recruiting class is usually some JUCO transfers, 3 stars.
Yeah.
Alford goes into a better situation, so he's more
He
primed
should
for
have
success.
success, but I don't know if he will. I don't know. So part of me thinks that that he won't have success. I mean, he has everybody there. All these top recruits. I mean, I hope he does well there. I hope he does well, but I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think he's the long term answer there. I mean, I see him there for maybe a couple of years.
You're talking about Alford, right?
Alford, yeah, but as for Enfield, I think Enfield will bring a little bit of excitement to that USC program, basketball program, because that's mainly a football school. But I like the way Enfield, his game plan. It's a lot of sort of like street ball. You go out there, have fun. He recruits, athletes, as you saw in the Florida Gulf Coast game. Sherwin Brown.
And he'll be able to get even
Dunk
better
City,
athletes now. Being at
yeah.
USC with the prestige of that
Yeah.
university.
So I think both are, for their respective programs, I think they're both pretty good hires. However, I think, Enfield has a lot less pressure on his shoulders. UCLA for Alfred is a big time program. They expect national championships.
I mean, they fired Howland and he's made a couple
Yeah.
Final Fours. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
expectation at UCLA
Yeah.
is championship.
For USC, I mean, if if you compete well in the Pac-12 and you make the tournament, then that's a success. So, I think Enfield, I really do. I believe he's going to do a really good job there. I think it's a great fit all the way around. We'll see as for Alford. He certainly has all the tools there for success, but I don't know how that's going to play out. I mean, he did very well with New Mexico. I mean, considering the recruiting classes he had.
The program was in shambles before he came, and he did fix it. The issue that I have is he he never got it over the hump, and he never seemed to care about it either. He
Yeah.
seemed to be content with just the Mountain West titles, and
Yeah.
that's not good enough. So, but he better watch out because at UCLA, winning a Pac-12 title is not that means nothing.
Yeah.
It's championship or bust. It's Final
Yeah.
Fours or bust. So
Yeah.
he better change his expectations, or he's not going to last very long. But
Yeah.
he should do well his first year. I mean, they have some pieces. Shabazz Muhammad's probably going to leave, but if he doesn't leave, then I mean, you're talking a potential Final Four team right off the bat.
Yeah.
But
No, I agree.
we wish him well, and Craig Neal's the new hire right now, so
I hope he has more than Mountain West championships
Yeah.
in mind.
hopefully his goals are a
Yeah.
little higher. But all right, that's a wrap
All
for
right.
today. Thanks,
All right,
guys.
see you.